Trade Genius.
Hi, and welcome to video number 4 in our Profit Ribbon version 2 series. This video, we're going to dive into the profit ribbons themselves. So the profit ribbons consist of a fast ribbon and a slow ribbon. Faster ribbon is going to be more responsive. It will cross down through the slower profit ribbon, or up through the slower profit ribbon. And then we also have the fast profit ribbon and slow profit ribbon buy and sell signals, which we're going to discuss how that works. So for the purposes of getting into this, we're going to turn off the fast ribbon, and we also have the fast ribbon buy and sell signals turned off because I just want to start with the slow ribbon. Slow ribbon is tuned a little slower as far as responsiveness to price, and we use that in conjunction with the fast ribbon to basically get signals for when we get crossovers. That's a good indicator of when price potentially can turn. You will also notice we have the buy and sell indicators. So these are just the slow ribbon buy and sell indicators. And as you can see, at these bigger turns, you'll get this signal. Now, I have it set to be filtered with the linear regression filter. Okay, if I turn that off, so use the slow ribbon linear regression filter, you'll notice it's going to get a lot more noisy. Okay, and that's because this is simply telling you when color has changed. So depending on your strategy, you may want to know every time this turns. You know, if you're doing like a really small time frame scalping type strategy, you may want this. For the most part, I leave that filtered as default because I think that does a good job of giving you less noise and more quality. Okay, as you can see here, this was a nice sell signal, a nice buy signal over here. And how that works is this: if you plot the linear regression, it's only going to take a signal if it fires outside of these two middle bands. And those middle bands are controlled by this trigger buffer level. So between these green lines, consider that like no man's land. If a signal fires inside that area, it's not going to paint a triangle. Okay, and I can adjust that out. So the higher I make this value, the wider those get, and then they will be more strict on what paints. So you can play with that. We have it set to 800, which is a decent setting across the board, but you can make it more strict and it will paint less. But the signals you do get generally are very, very good. So that's a personal preference, and we can get into later a specific type of setup that will adjust. But for now, for the sake of the instructional video, we'll just leave that at 800 as the default, and see you'll get more signals picked up. So that's how the profit ribbon fires on the slow one. It's going to be when the color changes outside of these middle bands. Okay, and again, those middle bands are controlled. The width of those middle bands are controlled by this right here. So 800 means 0.8 of a deviation. If you go to 1000, that's 1 deviation. If you set it to 2000, that's 2 deviations. That means you would force this to only fire outside of the standard default setting of 2 standard deviations. And if you increase that middle band, I mean, you could send it all the way out to 3 or 4 deviations, but most likely you wouldn't see any signals if you did that. So that's the slow ribbon. Now, let's go ahead and turn on the fast ribbon. So let's turn off the slow ribbon and the slow ribbon buy and sell. We'll turn on the fast ribbon buy and sell and the fast ribbon. All right. So as you can see, fast ribbon obviously is going to give you more signals. And again, if you don't use the linear regression filter, if you turn that off, you will get a ton of signals. So again, unless you're doing something very specific like a scalping strategy, probably don't need to see every single time the fast ribbon changes color. It's just there as an option. Primarily the fast ribbon, and I'll turn the slow ribbon on and you'll see, you know, that's giving us clues as to a turn in price. So the fast ribbon, again, the fast ribbon can be filtered, and again, you can adjust the setting here. Like if you make it 5 or 1500, you know, you could filter out a lot of the signals, and it will be, again, less noisy, but I think the quality of the signals improves a lot. So let's turn off the linear regression because I think you guys have a pretty good idea of how that works. And We'll go back to 800. And let's go ahead and turn on the slow ribbon, and we'll turn on the slow ribbon buy and sell. Okay, so this is pretty much your default. All right, so what I look at when I'm using the profit ribbons is I primarily look at the slow ribbon, and look at what that's doing. So obviously here, when it's green like this, we're in an uptrend. And to me, when the bands start going like this, you're in a very strong uptrend. You want to be careful trying to short this unless you've got a really good excuse to do so. And then when we get the cross, you get the fast ribbon sell, you get the cross. That's basically where you're looking to say, okay, we can now look for shorts on this. This is Google, G-O-O-G, Goog, on a 15-minute chart. As you can see, they said to get short, and that was a decent move down. Again, it's really good for catching turns. There's like three things here that fire off. You get the turn in and of itself, never mind the cross, you get the fast ribbon sell. Then you also have the slow ribbon sell firing off. So you've got both ribbons telling you, hey, the momentum has shifted, time to get short, and you get a nice sell down. Then you get down here to the bottom, you get a fast ribbon, a slow ribbon, and then a fast ribbon refires. So there's a couple things that we like when we're trading the fast ribbons. One is you have the cross down. The other is a continuation pattern, and it looks like this when you're basically inside the slow ribbon in the direction of the trend, and you come up against it and you curve back down, you curl back down. So that can happen sometimes up in here, it curls down, or you can have it lower like this and curl down. But we call those continuation moves. And those are pretty powerful in a trend to get a continuation move in the direction of the trend. That's why we call them continuation signals. There is a continuation signal that we created for the profit ribbon that goes on top of this. I'm going to turn that on now. So it's the continuation buy and the continuation sell. So there's a continuation buy again because it fires here because we had that fast ribbon come in against the slow ribbon and do one of those moves. Okay, so that's if you're like on the buy side, and then a move against that slow ribbon, that's on the sell side, and you get the continuation sell there. Okay, so that's a good signal, especially when the trend's starting or when the trend has turned and now you're ready for that next leg. Those are good spots. You also get a continuation buy here, so you get this grouping. Remember we had 3 here, and then you also have a continuation buy. So when you see that like on a 15-minute chart, when you get this type of grouping, that's good indication that you're probably going to see a move higher. Okay, so you went from $2,118 all the way up to $2,133 on a 15-minute chart. So that decent little move there for day trading. But again, this works on all different charts. I like charts that have high volume and that have decent movement during the day. To me, that's my favorite type of chart to day trade. If they don't have a lot of volume, you have to go out to a much higher time frame. Google is such, and many other stocks are the same, where you can go down to a 15-minute or smaller time frame. So the other component to the ribbon system is there's a cross signal. So if we double click on this, you can turn on the ribbon cross buy and the ribbon cross sell. Now these aren't going to fire at every single cross. A cross is when the fast ribbon crosses the slow ribbon. Okay, so that right there fires off a cross. You won't always get them though, because we found that if you wait for the ones that fire at the more extreme moves, the hit rate's a lot better. So it's hard coded to fire only when the linear regression. Let's double click on this and get the linear regression back up here. Let's plot that. So when it's outside of 2 standard deviations or whatever the setting is that you have here, the more you increase the standard deviations, the more it will filter out that ribbon cross signal. So if you go to a 3 deviation, do you see how it disappeared? You go back down to a 2. So it's a way of filtering those out. And if you want, obviously if you want a less strict setting, you can set it for 1 here, and that will control the filtering of the ribbon crosses. So again, you can play with that at your leisure, make it as responsive or strict as you want. So this linear regression standard deviations will filter the ribbon cross. This trigger buffer level will control the slow and fast ribbon buy signals. Okay, we'll go ahead and set this back to the default of 2, and we can go ahead and turn off the linear regression. I just leave it off because it's a little cleaner look, and because of the way we have these signals, you don't need to have it up. These signals will respond accordingly based on the settings. One thing you'll notice when on the profit ribbon system is when you get these groupings of signals like that, when you're day trading, you know, these are good. That's usually a good indication of the start of, or the finishing or the bottoming of a pullback and then another move higher. So keep an eye out for those when you have the profit ribbon system set up like this. Some people just run these, they don't have any other signals there, and you can certainly do that. But you know, I think these groupings, when you get these, are pretty decent signal in and of itself for a decent size start of a leg up or down. Keep an eye out for those. So that's basically it for the profit ribbon. Again, you have the fast and the slow. You've got the fast ribbon and the slow ribbon buy and sell. You've got the continuation signal, so you don't have to worry about identifying a continuation pattern. That'll go ahead and let you know it's happening and which ones to take. You don't always take every single one. This waits for the best ones. And you also have the ribbon cross, when the fast crosses down through the slow or crosses up through it, telling you that it's time for the move to turn. And that's done at the extremes. And again, you can adjust the filter for that through the linear regression setting. All right, in the next video, we're going to discuss the trend bands.
Trade Genius.